Hello friends, this is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming and welcome to another build review. This time we're going to do one of my favorite kinds of builds. It's a trapper. Those of you who followed me in Delve League might have seen my fire trapper, and that trapper was absolutely amazing. I actually used it in a video recently as well, and I've been really fond of trappers most of my POE career. They've gotten a lot of buffs recently, and I have made an ice trapper, so I just wanted to go over that. Ice trapper recently got a lot of buffs to its AoE, which was one of the main things that made it feel not so good, and also to its base damage and damage effectiveness. Now, the reason I played Fire Trapper in Delve in the first place was because of the 200% damage effectiveness. It really allowed for things like added cold, different added damage on your wands. Abyssal Jewels is a really big one to give a ton of damage to your build. That's one of the reasons I'm playing this as well. The build just hit level 70, and I leveled through the game with it pretty quickly, pretty easily. Not too bad, at least. Definitely a little bit slower than some other builds I've used, and I'll go over the reasons why that was the case. But as you can see, I'm wearing a Tabula Rasa. That dropped when I was level 58. Before that, I was just on a 4-link and didn't have too much trouble on the 4-link. I have Ice Trap, Trap and Mine damage, added cold damage, controlled destruction, cluster traps, and cold penetration. The reason we use cluster traps over multi-trap is simply because they are clustered more closely together, so when you throw them, they're kind of in a circle. Now, I actually bought a level, an item level 68 or higher I looked for, shaped gloves, and I just scoured, and I ended up alt spamming. I got really lucky on this one. It took me not too many ults. I don't know exactly how many, 30 or 40. And I managed to hit the socketed gems are supported by level 20 traps, and skills which throw traps throw up to 1 additional trap. So that was the main one we were looking for. And I actually managed to, with my augment orb, hit tier 1 life. So that's really nice. And then I proceeded to regal on 20 cold resist, and then craft on the life evasion hybrid. So these gloves actually turned out to be pretty good. Before that, I was actually leveling with Duedre's Tenure, which is normally a level 12 gloves, or level 25 because of the lab enchant in this particular case. But this gives a massive amount of spell damage, and you can start using it really early on. It really buffs the damage of your traps, because for those who do not know, traps are indeed spells, so you get damage from spell damage. And I was able to go through there. Some of my other gear is, this was just some random like double low cold damage roll that I had with tier 2 flat cold. So I just crafted on some spell crit, and I'm using that. It's functional. I'm doing all cold damage except for a tiny bit of fire damage. And I have this helmet, which is actually something I found from the Betrayal mechanic. Dropped with the life mana triple resist, and then I got 4% physical damage from hits taken as fire, which is really nice. This isn't too special. It's an alright shield. I crafted some stuff. I want an evasion or evasion energy shield at some point, but I'm using it for now. This I needed for the attributes for a while. I'll probably swap this out pretty quickly. This gets the added fire and cold damage. That's where I'm getting. So only 6 to 9 fire damage, just the only fire damage, translates to 56 to 84 fire damage. So you can really see the added damage effectiveness coming through there. I have this one, nothing too special about this either. And then my belt, yeah, pretty standard. I probably have a better belt laying around and haven't been able to do it. The leveling process was pretty nice. I started off leveling as Freeze Pulse Explosive Trap, and then I swapped over to basically exclusively leveling with Cold Snap, and a +1 wand with onslaught, and just used explosive trap for single target. I got fire trap. I would recommend leveling with fire trap for quite a while. I think it's more functional than ice trap until you get a substantial amount of AoE. So luckily now Shadow has these nodes, which all give AoE, a total of 20%, which means you don't have to travel quite as far to get the AoE. You start feeling okay relatively early on. And there are also these nodes, which all give AoE, which is pretty useful. So we have a decent amount of AoE. This way we don't have to travel all the way over to the Templar. And that's a big deal. That means we get to spend our points elsewhere. So I actually leveled non-crit. I'm using controlled destruction. I do want to add increased critical strikes to my build, but unfortunately it's a big damage loss everywhere. It's not that big of a damage loss over added cold damage at the moment. Once I get more crit chance, in theory it should be a little bit better than added cold damage. And yeah, I just got the normal trap nodes. I'm using phase acrobatics and acrobatics for dodge and spell dodge. That's one of my main defensive mechanics. I have a 2300 evasion armor piece that I'm crafting, but I need to 6-link that. I've probably downed about 200-300 fusings on it so far and no luck. So we're gonna keep plugging away at that. Hopefully I'll have a 6-link in a couple of days here, or within a day or two. Might have just been cheaper to buy a 6-link, but I wanted to make sure that I had over 2200 evasion because I really want to stack a decent amount of evasion. I'm gonna get like the Revenge of the Hunted cluster to give more evasion that way, and I plan on coming over to unstable munitions to get a little bit more area of effect, because area of effect and trap trigger radius are kind of what makes this feel good. Alright, so I'm just going to do a demonstration. I'm going to do an unidentified strand map real quick. Kind of show off how the build works in terms of playstyle. I don't have a cast when damage taken set up yet. I don't really have a lot of my stuff set up. I still have a lot to do, but I do have my Flame Dash Arcane Surge for the little bit of extra damage. Each trap does about 12k, so without a curse we 2-shot the rare monsters there. It's a little bit of a slower play style. I'm gonna go a little bit slower than I normally do because that is the way that the skill goes. Wow, that almost closed on me too quickly. We are using the blind portion of the ascendancy along with to synergize with our dodge and evasion, and that allows us to kind of get up close and personal without worrying about taking much damage. So we're able to really kind of get in there and get this done. This is a 4, so we're gonna go around the edges here. And yeah, it's basically just see a pack, throw traps at a pack. The AoE, once you get it all, the AoE is usually going to be enough to full clear packs. It's a little hard to do it around walls. Sometimes you can one-shot rares without reducing the cold resist. Sometimes you can't. Kind of depends, but alright, let's speed this up, get out of here. Trying to find a place I can run into the darkness. Nope. There you go. That just came for me. But alright, we'll grab some of these, see if we can find any double mods. I haven't really engaged with the League mechanic yet so far, but I do plan on this time, rather than trying to chain together memory fragments. I don't know why I went back for that. It's really early in the morning. I'm pretty tired. I hope you enjoy this anyway. I'm trying to be as lively as I can. Yes. Now the biggest problem is it feels a lot like Holy Flame Totem in terms of just going from pack to pack, laying stuff down. However, you're much more likely to miss. Even with all the trap trigger radius, it's a lot harder to make sure that you're going to full clear the targets. So That's a big problem. And I do think that there is some merit to playing Trapper. First of all, I really like the playstyle. I like the defensive aspect of it. I love the blinds. Like, I can just kind of go in the middle of packs and barely take any damage, barely ever get hit. So that's huge. And I have low health relative for level 70 even. And I had even lower health until level 70 because I was using gloves with 0 life, and now I'm using gloves with over 100 life. So substantially lower damage at that point. But it's fun. I like this playstyle. It's a little bit more relaxed, a little less hectic. It still does a lot of damage. The boss killing potential is really there. The boss killing... any kind of boss that has like a rev up time, like your Elder Guardians, where they don't pop out right away, you can kind of preload a decent amount of damage on there. All right. And as you can see, the area is big enough to where it clears most of that. And the defensive mechanic, these guys are both melee. And you also get freezes against bosses pretty often. I just got a weird 5-link. I'll go ahead and take that. I'll toss that on the ground. Alright, cool. So that was pretty much the build. It's not anything spectacular, but it's not bad. I would recommend it if you enjoy this kind of playstyle, but I think Holy Flame Totem might be better overall if you enjoy the kind of stop and place things down at each pack and then move on playstyle. It does have a little bit more of a defensive component. While it doesn't have the Consecrated Ground, and I could probably implement Consecrated Ground in one way or another, you do have the ability to just kind of stand in the middle of a bunch of units and not have to worry about it, especially once I get my 2300 evasion armor going. So it should really be strong defensively at that point, and I'll have a lot more life as well. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this Trapper. I'm going to do another update for it when we get to probably late 80s, early 90s. So look forward to that. I'll probably have a couple of videos in between that time. But yeah, this has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I will see you next time. Bye.